Jai Shishi Guru Goranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Juki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Juki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtutara Shata Shishimad Jagar Guru Paramahamsa Kula Swami Ashtutara Shata Shishimad Bhakti Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai Jai Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Swaparikar Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Swaparshad Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Nugagoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimad Śrīla Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Tadiya Shubha Tirobhav Titi Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Dait Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimad Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimad Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai All the associates of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai Jai Śrīla Baladevi Vijibhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Ṭhākura Ki Jai Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pada Ki Jai Śrīla Vrindavan Das Ṭhākura Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Naam Acharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Abhinna Vrindavan Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Akar Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai Vrajabhatan Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimad Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Vyas Puja 150th Vyas Puja Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai All the associates of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda Ki Jai all those coming in the line of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai all the disciples and grand disciples and great grand disciples of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranams Jai Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam. So I thought, since we're On this very auspicious day, for the pleasure of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda, we are embarking on this program, which I'm hoping will go on for at least 4 years, but we'll see what happens. Everything's according to the Lord's desire, but since we're starting now, I thought it would be most auspicious if we recite the Mangalacharan, and then afterwards there's a beautiful stotram written by Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Gosvāmī Maharaj called the Shri Daita Dasa Pranati Panchakam. And so I thought maybe we could sing that, and then we'll begin reading the first article of our Raise of the Harmonist Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī program. So I'll share my screen, and you'll have to excuse me, because we had so many deadlines, so many projects we needed to finish yesterday, I didn't actually get time to prepare anything. So this is all going to be kind of spontaneous. But yeah, okay. So I'll share my screen. Okay. I won't go through all the Mangalacharan verses because I don't want to take too much time, but we'll skip through some of them. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitangscha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya. Oh, okay, I'll go through. I just wonder. Okay, yeah, I'll just go through this. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivinoda Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Shri Keshava Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivinoda Vamaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singharupine Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī iti namine. Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitai Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Madhuryo Jala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. Maybe let's just read the translation to this so that we know what we just sang. I offer pranam to Om Vishnupad Shri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda, who in this world is most dear to Krishna. I offer pranam to Shri Varshabhanavi Daita Das, the manifestation of an ocean of mercy, who bestows realization of our eternal relationship with Shri Krishna. O Śrīla Sarasvatī Thakur, you deliver Shri Rupanuga Bhakti, which is abounding with Ujjvala Madhurya Prem. You are the embodiment of the mercy potency of Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. I offer pranam unto you. I offer obeisance to you, the embodiment of Sri Gaurahari's message, Vāṇī. You deliver the fallen and remove the darkness of philosophical misconceptions that are opposed to the precepts taught by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Namo Gaura Kishoraya Shakshar Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambhode Padam Pujayate Namaha. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistang Nirdishta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya krishna prema pradayate krishnaya krishna chaitanya namne gauratvishe namaha. He Krishna karuna sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Keshavasya cha Krishna Bhakti Pradedevi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so now we will sing this. I've actually never sung this before. And but it's such a, okay, so this is called the Shri Daita Dasa Pranati Panchakam. Homage unto Śrīla Sarasvatī Thakur by Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Maybe so that we know what we're singing, we can read the translation first, and then we'll sing. Yeah. What is it, Bhava? Yeah, the meter for this is very interesting, and every verse is 6 lines long. I've never seen that before, and the meter is also something I've never seen before. It's na 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 na. It's a really neat meter. Okay, so Śrīla Gosvāmī Maharaj, he says, and this is a translation from, I think, Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Yeah. He of divine form came forth from the birthplace of the golden lotus, the ocean of the mellow of divine consorthood. That's beyond me, I don't understand that. His large, merciful eyes dispel the suffering soul's fear and proclaim the surrendered soul's victory. His tongue constantly vibrates the whole earth planet. It vibrates the whole earth planet with Sri Krishna Sankirtan. His beauty resplendent in the robes of the sun's radiance, saffron, that purifies the universe and dispels the suffering of material existence. On the holy day, on his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. That's so beautiful. Offers pranams to the beloved associate of Vishwabhanu Nandini, but not just to him, but to all of the servitors of his lotus feet. Wow. The devotees surrendered in pure devotion are eternally protected at his lotus feet. He is worshipable by the pure souls endowed with sincerity and good fortune, and he accepts even those who obstruct the service of Sri Hari just to rectify them. As the very fountainhead of mercy upon all mobile and immobile beings, he crushes the inauspiciousness of the whole universe. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vishwabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. Like a miracle, his body moves with a joyful elegance and charm beyond the world's understanding, fulfilling the artist's aspiration. or dancing in pastimes transcendental to the world, his artistic form incites divine love's hankering. Two meanings of that line. His intellect surpasses that of even the demigods, and he is nobility incarnate as the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnav sannyasis, the Tridandi yatis. The sadhus of profound intellect describe the nature of his personality as meticulously in the line of Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, and Sri Raghunath, and they speak of him as being on the same plane as Sri Jivapad, being superbly replete in perfect theistic conclusions. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vishwabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. One second, I'm just going to close the door because somebody's talking really loud outside. It's distracting me. On the bank of Sri Radhakund at Swananda Sukara Kunj, he is devoted to the service of his beloved, and furthermore, he is greatly endeared to the divine damsels of Vraj, headed by Lalita. He is most favorite to Kamala Manjari, who is preeminent in Vrindavan, and with the glorious qualities of Guna Manjari, he builds the residence of Sri Hari. That's Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Śrīla Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. On his holy day of Advent, I again and again bow down unto that beloved associate of Sri Vishwabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his lotus feet. He is immaculate joy incarnate, or he is the graciousness or the joy of Bimala Devi. He manifested the pastimes of his advent at Purushottam Kshetra in the holy land of Orissa, and he revealed his pastimes of delivering the fallen souls and extending his mercy upon them by awarding them the gift of divine love at the new Isles or Navadvip. New Isles? Is that how you say that? Yeah, I think so. Circumambulating Gaur Dham in the same way as traditionally done at Braj Dham and Purushottam Dham, he continuously propagates the loving desire of Braj, the divine abode of Vaikuntha, and the holy name of Krishna. On his day of Advent, I again and again make my obeisance unto that dear associate of Sri Vishwabhanu Nandini and the servitors of his holy lotus feet. Wow, what a beautiful prayer. I'd love to make our own translation of this and publish it sometime maybe in the large Gaudiya Giti Gucha that we're going to make. Okay, so I don't actually have a melody for this totally. Yesterday I just very quickly made up a melody. I didn't even spend that much time on it. So anyways, let's see. What was it? Bhaya Bhanjana Jaya Shangsana Karunayatanayanam Kanakod. Anyways, I'm just gonna sing like a generic kind of generic melody, like what I do for Chaitanya Bhagavat. But yeah, that would be really nice if somebody could compose a melody for this, or if they already know the melody for it, I'd love to learn it. Okay. Abhaya Bhanjana Jaya Sangs. Sorry. Let me just check to make sure that I have noise suppression turned off so you could hear the mridanga. Okay, it is. Great. Abhaya Bhanjana Jaya Shangsana Karunayatanayanam Kanakotpala Janako Jvala Rasa Sagara Chayanam Mukari Krita Dharane Tala Harikirtana Rasanam Kshiti Pavana Bhavatarana Pihitaruna Vasanam Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam Sharanagata Bhajana Vrata Chirapalana Charanam Sukritalaya Saralashaya Sujana Kila Varanam Harisadana Kritabadana Jana Shasana Kalanam Sachara Karuna Karanikila Shivadalanam Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam. One more time. Shubhododaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam. Atilokika gatito likarati kautuka vapusham Atidaivatamati Vaishnavayati Vaibhava Purusham Sasanatana Ragurupaka Paramanuka Charitam Suvicharaka Iva Jivaka Iti Sadhu Biruditam Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam Sarasi Tata Sukha Dota Janikata Priya Bhajanam Lalita Mukha Lalana Kula Paramadara Yajanam Vrajakanana Bahumanana Kamala Priya Nayanam Guna Manjari Garima Guna Harivasana Vayanam Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam Vimalotsavam Amalotkala Purushottama Jananam Patito Driti Karuna Striti Kritanutana Pulinam Mathura Pura Purushottama Samagora Puratanam Harikamaka Haridhamaka Harinamaka Ratana Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam Ashubhadodaya Divase Vrisharavijaane Jataitam Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam O Pranamami Chacharanantika Paricharaka Sahitam O Pranamami Chacharanantika Kartika Paricharaka Sahitam. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Prabhupāda, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Prabhupāda, Jaya Saparshara Śrīla Prabhupada, Saparshara Śrīla Prabhupada, Jai Saparshara Śrīla Prabhupada, Saparshara Śrīla Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jagat Guru Paramahansa Kula Swami Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda Ki Jai. What is it called? Anyways, I'll just end it. So, Dandavat Pranams everybody, and welcome to our first Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī session, going through all the articles published in Reza the Harmonist magazine, which was established by my Srila Gurudev in, I think, 1996 or something like that. Yeah, so this magazine, Reza the Harmonist magazine, publishes all the articles from, publishes only articles from our Guru Varga that were published in the Sajantoshini, the Gaudiya magazine, the Gaudiya Patrika, Bhagavat Patrika, the Bhagavat Dharma magazine of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Maharaj, what is it called? Chaitanya Vāṇī, I think, of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Madhava Gosvāmī Maharaj. No, that's not. Anyways, I have a terrible memory, but yeah, it publishes all these articles from our Guru Varga, and these articles they're very special. All those in the line of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself and Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur and all of his followers, they put so much emphasis on these they spent so much of their time and energy writing these articles for us. And the articles are like all the teachings condensed into one small little package, the siddhanta that they really want us to understand. And so the article that we're starting off with today is, it was published in Sajantoshini, also known as the Harmonist, an English magazine. So this was originally written by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur in English. And it's called Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, a speciality of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vāṇī. I think the speciality of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vāṇī. And I think this is the most appropriate article that we could start off with, that I know of, for three reasons. One reason is that this is, one reason is that this is, we'll read in this article, he's explaining the way to approach these teachings of our Guru Varga. How should we read these articles that we're going to be going through? So, and then also, I don't think there's any way to please Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur Prabhupāda more than glorifying Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who he never saw as his father. He always had the conception that he is my guru, like that. He never looked at him as his father. And so really the way to please him is to, and also, today is Vyas Puja. It is the 150th Vyas Puja of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur Prabhupāda. So we can learn from him how, because he wrote this article on the occasion of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vyas Puja. So we can learn from him how we can observe this day. What is the ideal way to observe this Vyas Puja from his own example of how he followed it himself. So, All right, I'm just seeing everybody who's here. Dandavat Pranams, Nitai Prabhu, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Krishna Premavati Didi, Shubhananda Prabhu, Rama Morrison, Kanika, Krishna Mai Didi, Satya Mataji, Champak Mataji, Narayan Damodar Prabhu, that's here on Zoom, and then let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Rukmini Didi, Hari Priya Didi, Ganga Mataji, Rup Manjari Didi, and Nitai, and who else? Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Vidyalala Sadidi, Manjari Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, Rasapriya Didi, Radha Vinod Prabhu, and a bunch of other devotees. Wow, a lot of devotees today. I can only see the names of those who wrote comments. Oh, and two more devotees just came, Nri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarini Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, and Jumur, and yeah, thank you so much for joining. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we had to prepare some postings, and I ended up finishing very late at night, at midnight. And actually, the original plan was to release the Gaudiya Kirtan app on this day, and I was very busy working on that. And so for many excuses that I haven't actually properly read this article on my own. I wasn't able to prepare like I would have liked to. So yeah, please excuse me for that. And I'm thinking, since this article, well, it's such an important article, I'm thinking I want to reread it again tomorrow at the same time, so that we've read through it once, we kind of got it a little bit, and then we can try to assimilate it further by, and maybe after we read it today, if there are any thoughts that you have, or any points that you would like to share, then tomorrow we can meet again, and you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts and everything today, but also tomorrow again, after you've thought about it for more, and we could reread it, and yeah. Yeah, I don't want to rush through this one because it's so important. I read it actually for the first time through this morning, before Mangalarti, and at the end there were a few sentences I didn't fully understand. So anyways, maybe you can help me understand them also when we get to them. My English is, I kind of have like a high school level English. So, oh, okay. Turn on noise suppression. There. Okay, now I have noise suppression turned on. Okay. All right. So, also the format of this program. So, what I'm thinking is, for now we can read we could read through the whole article, and while we're reading it, if there are any points that you want to capture and like you want to discuss afterwards, I have this article is available on raiseoftheharmonist.com, and you could even copy and paste sections that you would like to come back to afterwards. And we can stop in the middle while I'm reading. Like if there's any points that you want to say a little something about, then we can do that even in the middle of our reading. But we'll try to keep it short, the discussion in the middle short, and then at the end we can discuss it. Then there's no time restraint. But because I think if we pause too much in the middle of the reading, then we might lose the flow as well. And so, and actually, I've never done anything like this before, and so I don't know the best way to do this. And I'm open to feedback, and also we're going to be doing this for a long time, so we can keep on adjusting it until we find out what works best. But yeah, everybody don't feel shy to just butt in at any moment. You can turn on your mic and jump in. All right. Okay, so I made oh, and if any of you haven't done so already, yeah, if you like, you can go to raiseoftheharmonist.com, raiseoftheharmonist.com, and then you'll find a link here to you can subscribe to the mailing list. And then before every reading, 24 hours before each reading, I'll send out the article as well as an EPUB so that you could read it on a Kindle or on any device, your phone or computer, using the app, and you can adjust the text size and all that. So yeah, if you'd like to receive the articles every time, then go here, raiseoftheharmonist.com, put in your name and email, and then subscribe. Sometimes I did a test and the you have to confirm your email. You have to go, and when I tried it, it went to my spam folder. But I don't think other people haven't been having that problem. So, but yeah, if you don't get it in your inbox, check the spam folder. Okay. 1 second. Oh, Prajuna Prabhu just mentioned to me that for us, it is tomorrow. So it'd be great if we read it again tomorrow as well. Yeah, so like we'll read it 2 days and then everybody will be able to read it on his. Okay. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, a speciality of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Thakur's Vāṇī. This is the EPUB I made. And this is from The Harmonist, published December 1931, volume 29, number 6. And this was published in one of the first issues of Raisa the Harmonist, and also the last issue of Raisa the Harmonist, that published in 2014. Okay. A speciality of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vāṇī. His specific kindness to those engrossed in all kinds of mental speculation. One second, let me just drink some water. God, I don't know why I'm feeling so nervous. Also, I think it'd be nice if maybe we could get other people to lead the programs as well. I'm just starting it off, but maybe next time we could get another senior devotee or somebody else. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. We avail of the opportunity offered by the anniversaries. We avail of the opportunity offered by the anniversary celebrations of the advent of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda to reflect on the right method of obtaining those benefits that have been made accessible to humanity by the grace of this great devotee of Krishna. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda has been specifically kind to those unfortunate persons who are engrossed in mental speculation of all kinds. This is the prevalent malady of the present age. The other acharyas who appeared before Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda did not address their discourses so directly to the empiric thinkers. They had been more merciful to those who were already naturally disposed to listen to discourses on the absolute without being dissuaded by the specious arguments of avowed opponents of Godhead. And I'm just, I'm going to just look up words that I had to look up, just because I think maybe some people joining might not be like me. And so, So specious means superficially plausible, but actually wrong. So we see like Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur in our Chaitanya Bhagavat readings. Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur, he wasn't addressing the scientists, and he was writing, like we see they didn't focus directly on all these empiric thinkers. They were writing for people who already had some kind of faith for the most part. But Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was so merciful that, we'll see, Śrīla Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda has taken the trouble of meeting the perverse arguments of mental speculationists by the superior transcendental logic of the absolute truth. It is thus possible for the average modern readers to profit by the perusal of his writings. Perusal is like careful reading, right? I think so. That day is not far distant when the priceless volumes penned by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda will be reverentially translated by the recipients of his grace into all the languages of the world. The writings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda provide the golden bridge by which the mental speculationist can safely cross the raging waters of fruitless empiric controversies that trouble the peace of those who choose to trust in their guidance. Wait, yeah. So his writings provide the golden bridge by which the mental speculationists can safely cross the raging waters of fruitless empiric controversies that trouble the peace of those who choose to trust in their guidance for finding the absolute truth. Those who rely on their own ability, on their own empiric understanding to understand so for those people, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so merciful on targeting them and making a golden bridge so that they can cross through all these controversies. As soon as the sympathetic reader is in a position to appreciate the sterling quality of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda's philosophy, the entire vista of the revealed literatures of the world will automatically open out to his reclaimed vision. Reclaimed vision. Reclaimed, that means like reclaimed by Krishna, right? Right now, we're unreclaimed. We're not reclaimed by Krishna yet. We're reclaimed by Maya. So, but when his reclaimed vision. When we understand we're a servant of Krishna and that vision. Okay. And we see it through Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books like Krishna Samhita, Prem Pradeep, Jaiva Dharma. We see how he's writing for all different kinds of people who he's addressing directly these empiric thinkers. It is not possible to understand the message of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda without securing his guiding grace. Already arisen serious misunderstandings regarding the proper interpretation of the life and teachings of Śrīla Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda. Those who suppose they understand the meaning of his message without securing the guiding grace of the Acharya are disposed to unduly favor the methods of empiric study of his writings. I'm just going to reread that because it's very important. Those who suppose they understand the meaning of his message without securing the guiding grace of the Acharya are disposed to unduly favor the methods of empiric study of his writings. They think they can just understand with their own brain. They don't need the mercy of an Acharya, the grace, the guiding grace of an Acharya. They can figure it out themselves. There are persons who have got by heart almost everything that he wrote without being able to catch the least particle of his meaning. There's some people who could probably recite every teaching of Bhaktivinoda Thakur by heart, know it perfectly, can speak it verbatim what he said, without actually being able to catch the least particle of his meaning. Such study cannot benefit those who are not prepared to act up to the instructions lucidly conveyed by his words. There's no benefit in trying to just study Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words without being prepared to act up to the instructions that he gives in his message. We're not going to follow what he's writing, then there's no benefit of just trying to mentally figure it all out. There is no honest chance of missing the warnings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda. Yeah, because they're everywhere. His warnings are everywhere. So there's no honest chance of missing the warnings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda. Those, therefore, who are misled by the perusal of his writings are led astray by their own obstinate perversity in sticking to the empiric course, which they prefer to cherish against his explicit warnings. Let these unfortunate persons look more carefully into their own hearts for the cause of their misfortunes. The personal service of the pure devotee is essential for understanding the spiritual meaning of the words of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda. If we actually want to understand the spiritual meaning of the words of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, then the personal service of the pure devotee is essential. The editor of this journal, originally started by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, Sri Sajantoshini, has been trying to draw the attention of all followers of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda to this all-important point of his teachings. That's Śrīla Sarasvatī Thakur is referring to himself, the editor of this journal. He's the editor of this journal. So he's been trying to draw the attention of all the followers of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda to this all-important point of his teachings. It is not necessary to try to place ourselves on a footing of equality with Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda. We are not likely to benefit by any mechanical imitation of any practices of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda on the opportunist principle that they may be convenient for us to adopt. The Guru is not an erring mortal whose activities can be understood by the fallible reason of unreclaimed humanity. Unreclaimed, that word again, unreclaimed. Yeah, we're just lost jivas, Buddha jivas, who we haven't been reclaimed yet. So unreclaimed humanity. I mean, those without shelter and those who are just lost in the material world, they are unreclaimed. So the Guru is not an erring mortal whose activities can be understood by the fallible reason of unreclaimed humanity. There is an eternally impassable line of demarcation between the Savior and the saved. Those who are really saved can alone know this. Yes, we should understand who the Savior is and we who are the saved. We should never think, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur is our Savior and we are the saved. And that's an impassable line. We'll always be the saved and he'll always be the Savior. And those who are really saved can alone know this. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda belongs to the category of spiritual world teachers who eternally occupy the superior position. Those are the saviors. The teachings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda cannot be accessed by hearing from someone who is not devoted. The present editor has all along felt it his paramount duty to try to clear up the meaning of the life and teachings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda by the method of submissive listening to the transcendental sounds from the lips of the pure devotee. Okay, so Śrīla Sarasvatī Thakur, he's referring to himself, the present editor, has all along felt it his paramount duty. What is his paramount duty? To try to clear up the meaning of the life and teachings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda by the method of submissive listening to the transcendental sounds from the lips of the pure devotee. The Guru who realizes the transcendental meaning of all sounds is in a position to serve the Absolute by the direction of the Absolute conveyed through every sound. And this topic, the transcendental meaning of all sounds, this topic of Spotavad, it's one of the most, we've been reading it all throughout Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur Prabhupāda's commentaries on Chaitanya Bhagavat. He keeps on bringing up this point of the Virvad Rudi Vritti, like the enlightened understanding of this, and then the Agya Rudi Vritti. Like it's such an like one of the main points that he was strongly establishing. And there's a whole book published just recently. Prem Prayojan Prabhu published it. He translated it from my Gurudev's edition. My Gurudev translated it into Hindi, and then from that he translated it into English. And very soon, Gaudiya Vedanta Publications will also be publishing it. It's called Gaudiya Darshan, and this is one of the main topics in that whole Gaudiya Darshan. So the Guru who realizes the transcendental meaning of all sounds is in a position to serve the Absolute by the direction of the Absolute conveyed through every sound. The transcendental sound is Godhead. The mundane sound is non-Godhead. All sound has got these opposite aptitudes. All sound reveals its divine face to the devotee and only presents its deluding aspect to the empiric pedant. Is it pedant or pedant? I don't know. I think it's pedant, right? And pedant is, let's just look that up again really quickly. A pedant is a person who is excessively concerned with minor details and rules, or with displaying academic learning. So without actually trying to understand the essence, the substance behind it, they're just concerned with minor details and displaying academic learning, but not actually really understanding it. So. Okay. Let me just reread that. All sound reveals its divine face to the devotee and only presents its deluding aspect to the empiric pedant. The devotee talks apparently the same language as the deluded empiric pedant, who had got by heart the vocabulary of the scriptures. Also, if I ever, because I'm not familiar, like my vocabulary isn't very large, and so if I'm mispronouncing any word, please just jump in and like if you can turn on your mic and just say it the right way so that I can also learn how to pronounce it. Yeah. Okay. So the devotee talks apparently the same language as the deluded empiric pedant who had got by heart the vocabulary of the scriptures. But notwithstanding apparent identity of performance, one has no access to reality, while the other is absolutely free from all delusion. Externally, it sounds like they're saying the same words, but one has no access to the reality, while the other is absolutely free from all delusion. So actually, there's a difference of heaven and hell between them, even though externally it seems the same. Those who repeat the teachings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda from memory do not necessarily understand the meaning of the words they mechanically repeat. Those who can pass an empiric examination regarding the contents of his writings are not necessarily also self-realized souls. Yeah, so you might be able to pass the, what is it called? The Bhakti Vriksha, is it called? No, Bhakti, not Bhakti Vriksha. Anyways, you might be able to pass a test, but that doesn't mean you've actually understood the words. It's not a mental thing. It's they may not at all know the real meaning of the words they have learned by the method of empiric study. Take, for example, the name Krishna. Every reader of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda's works must be aware that the name manifests himself on the lips of his serving devotees, although he is inaccessible to our mundane senses, right? Like that verse, Atashi Krishna Namadi. So the name manifests himself to those who are Sevonmukh, his serving devotees. But he, Sri Nam Prabhu, is inaccessible to our mundane senses. It is one thing to pass the examination by reproducing this true conclusion from the writings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, and quite another matter to realize the nature of the holy name of Krishna by the process conveyed by the words. Yeah, it's one thing to understand that point theoretically, like, okay, yeah, that's what that verse says, Atashi Krishna Namadi. But it's another thing to actually realize the nature of the holy name of Krishna by the process conveyed by the words. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda did not want us to go to the clever mechanical reciter of the mundane sound for obtaining access to the transcendental name of Krishna. Such a person may be fully equipped with all the written arguments and explanation of the nature of the divine name. Yeah, so somebody might be very established in Nam Tattva and be able to explain all the points perfectly without any Apasiddhanta, and will be very expert at understanding the Nam Tattva. Like not in the true sense, but just in the mental sense, like they meant, yeah. But if we listen to all these arguments from the dead source, the words will only increase our delusion. Even if they're speaking the tattva, like according to Shastra, since it's coming from the dead source, their words will only increase our delusion. The very same words coming from the lips of the devotee will have the diametrically opposite effect. Our empiric judgment can never grasp the difference between the two performances. Yeah, just our empiric judgment, we can never grasp the difference between the Siddhanta spoken by the pure devotee of the Lord and by just somebody who is very knowledgeable, like some, like a pundit, a scholar. We can't, our empiric judgment can't see the difference between the two performances. The devotee is always right. The non-devotee in the shape of the empiric pedant is always and necessarily wrong. The devotee is always right. and the non-devotee is always and necessarily wrong. Whatever they say is going to be wrong, no matter what. They can't say anything right. In the one case, there's always present the substantive truth and nothing but the substantive truth. In the other case, there's present the apparent or misleading hypothesis and nothing but untruth. Yeah, there's just a misleading hypothesis, just a hypothesis and nothing but untruth. Right? A hypothesis just means it's like not really, what is it? This hypothesis, an idea that is suggested as the possible explanation for something, but has not yet been found to be true or correct. So it's just for them, it's just a hypothesis. They haven't really, yeah. And it's nothing but untruth. The wording may have the same external appearance in both cases. The non-devotee may recite verses from the scriptures identical to the ones recited by the devotee. And the devotee may even apparently misquote something. But the corresponding values of the two processes remain always categorically different. I love the sentence right here. The devotee is right even when he apparently misquotes. The non-devotee is wrong even when he quotes correctly the very words, chapter, and verse of the scriptures. Let's reread that. It's such an important point. The devotee is right even when he apparently misquotes. And the non-devotee is wrong even when he quotes correctly the very words, chapter, and verse of the scriptures. The direct, unambiguous appearance of divinity. And does anybody have anything to say on any of these points so far? If not, we'll just continue. Okay. The direct, unambiguous appearance of divinity. It is not empiric wisdom that is the object of quest of the devotee. Those who read the scriptures for gathering empiric wisdom will be pursuing a wild goose chase. Those who read the scriptures for gathering empiric wisdom will be pursuing a wild goose chase. They'll never be peaceful. They'll never reach a conclusion because there seems to be contradictions everywhere when there actually isn't. So they'll always be confused and always be debating this and that and this point and that point. And no, wait, he said this here and he said this there. And, they'll never be peaceful. There are not a few dupes of their empiric scriptural erudition. Yeah, there are not a few dupes. There are many dupes. There's tons of dupes. There are not a few dupes of their empiric scriptural erudition. And a dupe is, let's just see what the dictionary definition is. A dupe is victim, goal, pawn, puppet, instrument, fool, simpleton, innocent. No, let's see, sucker, informal, sucker, poor suckers. A duplicate or copy of something. No, there's better. No, a victim of that. Here's the meaning. It's a victim of deception. Knowing accomplices are unknowing dupes. A victim of deception. Okay, so there are not a few dupes of their empiric scriptural erudition. These dupes have their admiring underdupes. These dupes have their admiring underdupes. But the mutual admiration society of dupes does not escape, by the mere weight of their number, the misfortunes due to the deliberate pursuit of the wrong course in accordance with the suggestions of our lower selves. Wait, I don't fully understand that. Does that mean but the mutual admiration society of dupes does not escape, by the mere weight of their number, the misfortunes due to the deliberate pursuit of the wrong course in accordance with the suggestions of our lower selves? Does that mean just because so many people are thinking this way, that doesn't mean that there's actually any weight to their, that's what they're saying is proper? Anyways, I want to read this again tomorrow when I've understood everything more carefully. And if anybody wants to jump in and explain anything that I'm not getting right, please do. Okay, this is a very important point. Come here. What are the scriptures? They are nothing but the record by the pure devotees of the divine message appearing on the lips of the pure devotees. What are the scriptures? They're the divine message appearing on the lips of the pure devotees. All of our scriptures are coming from the lips of the contents of the scriptures is the words of pure devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is all the words of pure devotees. The message conveyed by the devotees is the same in all ages. The words of the devotees are ever identical with the scriptures. So really, there isn't any difference between sadhu and shastra. Sometimes I hear the point, like I've heard devotees make the points that when you see the difference between the words of a sadhu, and I mean like a Mahabhagavat sadhu, when you see a difference between the words of a sadhu and the words of scripture, then we should give prominence to the word of scripture, of shastra. But those who are saying that aren't really understanding, because what is shastra? The shastra is the words of pure devotees. Like we consider shastra to be the words of pure devotees. And so there isn't any difference between them. If we see a difference between them, it's our lack of understanding. It's not that there is actually a difference. The words of the devotees are ever identical with the scriptures. Any meaning of the scriptures that belittles the function of the devotee, who is the original communicant of the divine message, contradicts its own claim to be heard. Okay. Yeah, it contradicts its own claim to be heard, because you're now trying to say that there's a difference between the words of sadhu and of shastra, but shastra is the words of sadhu. So you're contradicting yourself. Am I understanding that correctly? That's how I'm understanding this. Those who think that the Sanskrit language and its lexicographical sense is the language of divinity are as deluded as those who hold that the divine message is communicable through any other spoken dialects. Yeah, so those who they think Sanskrit language is it's completely pure and perfect, and so if you have a good grasp of Sanskrit, if you're a Sanskrit scholar and you really understand all the dictionary definitions, right, lexicographical sense, you understand the dictionary definitions and all the grammar and everything of Sanskrit, and so that if you consider that the language of divinity, then that person is as deluded as those who hold that the divine message is communicable through any other spoken dialects. All languages, not just all languages, simultaneously express and hide the absolute. Yeah, some people might think, oh, you can't explain these things, you can't understand these things until you've understood Sanskrit. Or if this pure devotee, if he doesn't understand Sanskrit, then he doesn't actually know the meaning of scriptures. But no, that person is deluded. All languages simultaneously express and hide the absolute. The mundane face of all languages hides the truth. Okay, so the mundane face of all languages hides the truth, even of Sanskrit. The mundane face of Sanskrit hides the truth. But the transcendental face of all sound expresses nothing but the absolute. So this is something deeper than language. This is about transcendental sound. And so it doesn't really matter what language it's being expressed through. What matters is the sound that is expressing that. The transcendental face of all sound expresses nothing but the absolute. The pure devotee is the speaker of the transcendental message. The transcendental sound makes his appearance on the lips of his pure devotee. This is the direct, unambiguous appearance of divinity. On the lips of non-devotees, the absolute always appears in his deluding aspect. On the pure devotee's tongue, the transcendental sound always reveals himself, and on the lips of non-devotees, the absolute always hides himself. He appears as his deluding aspect. Not only does he hide himself, but he deludes through the lips of non-devotees. To the pure devotee, the absolute reveals himself under all circumstances. To the conditioned soul, if he is disposed to listen in a truly submissive spirit, the language of the pure devotee can alone impart the knowledge of the absolute. Okay, so let me just reread that. To the conditioned soul, if he is disposed to listen in a truly submissive spirit, the language of the pure devotee can alone impart the knowledge of the absolute. The conditioned soul mistakes the deluding for the real aspect when he chooses to lend his ear to the non-devotee. This is the reason why the conditioned soul is warned to avoid all association with non-devotees. Okay, so we should never go to here to try to understand the Sandarbhas by somebody who's been studying it for even 30, 40 years and knows the grammar and understands all the grammatical rules and has spent, his entire life studying the Sandarbhas. But if he is not a devotee of the Lord, like a pure devotee, or like, in the proper line, then we'll be deluded. Even by rather than understanding anything. We'll think we're understanding, but actually we're in delusion. His teachings demolish the empiric method of approaching the absolute. Oh, one second. I haven't been looking at the comments. Sorry. And I hope, am I going too slow? Or you can let me know if I'm going too slow. I can stop like talking throughout if I am. Oh, yes. Rukmini Didi reminds of what we heard about Dushta Sarasvatī in the Chaitanya Bhagavat purports. Yes. Sorry, I haven't been looking at the comments so much. Those who think that the Sanskrit language is... Yes. Oh, yes. That point. Yes. Okay. His teachings demolish the empiric method of approaching the absolute. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda is acknowledged by all his sincere followers as possessing the above powers of the pure devotee of Godhead. His words have to be received from the lips of a pure devotee. Okay, so Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words have to be received from the lips of a pure devotee. We can't just go to Jaiva Dharma and figure it out. His words have to be received from the lips of a pure devotee. If his words are not listened to from the lips of if his words are listened to from the lips of a non-devotee, they will certainly deceive. If his works are studied in the light of one's own worldly experience, their meaning will refuse to disclose itself to such readers. I love that. The meaning will refuse. Everything's so personal. The meaning personified, will refuse to disclose itself to such readers if they're just trying to study the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the light of their own worldly experience. They're seeing it through their own filter, their own understanding. Then the meaning of his words will refuse to disclose itself to them. His works belong to the class of the eternally revealed literature of the world. His works belong to the class of the eternal revealed literature of the world, and must be approached for their right understanding through their exposition by the pure devotee. Does that mean his works belong to the class of the eternal revealed literature? So his works are in the class of these scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. And for us, it's like that, right? And so they must be approached for their right understanding through their exposition by the pure devotee. If I'm getting anything wrong, please let me know. But how I'm understanding this is just like we need the help of sadhus to be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So also Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words, just like that, we also can't understand Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words without receiving them from a pure devotee. If no help from the pure devotee is sought, the works of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda will be grossly misunderstood by their readers. The attentive reader of those works will find that he is always directed to throw himself upon the mercy of the pure devotee if he is not to remain unwarrantably self-satisfied by the deluding result of his wrong method of study. The writings of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda are valuable because they demolish all empiric objections against accepting the only method of approaching the absolute in the right way. Yes, all of that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teaching writings are valuable, because it demolishes all empiric objections against accepting the only method of approaching the absolute in the right way. They cannot and were never intended to give access to the absolute without help from the pure devotee of Krishna. They direct the sincere inquirer of the truth, as all the revealed scriptures do, to the pure devotee of Krishna, to learn about him by submitting to listen with an open mind to the transcendental sounds appearing on his lips. Before we open any of the books penned by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, we would do well to reflect a little on the attitude with which, as the indispensable prerequisite to approach its study. Okay, so before we go to open up Jaiva Dharma, then we should reflect a little on the attitude with which, what is the indispensable prerequisite to approach reading this Jaiva Dharma? How will we get some benefit from it? If we just open it without reflecting a little bit with the attitude with which we should approach it, then we're not going to get any benefit from it. We'll just memorize some facts, but we won't actually understand anything. We'll think we're understanding, but we're deluding ourselves if we're not approaching in the right mood. It is by neglecting to remember this fundamental principle that the empiric pedants find themselves so hopelessly puzzled in their vain endeavor to reconcile the statements of the different texts of the scriptures. The same difficulty is already in the process of overtaking many of the so-called followers of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda for the same reason. Oh my God, have we seen that happen recently? Of people seeing Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words and saying, well, this seems to contradict Śrīla Jiva Goswāmī. And so why is he write this? And we accept Jiva Goswāmī above all else. And so why would he write this thing which isn't really proper Siddhanta, or it's not the full truth? It's, well, and then, try to come up. That's what happens when you don't approach. And you'll always be puzzled. You'll always be confused and always see contradictions everywhere. And and try to come up with your own reconciliations, which are wrong. This is very relevant to the times now. Only the absolute can give himself. Okay, Ram Morrison. Okay. Thanks for coming, Didi. Only the absolute can give himself. The person to whom the Acharya is pleased to transmit his power is alone in a position to convey the divine message. Wow, let's reread that. The person to whom the Acharya is pleased to transmit his power is alone in a position to convey the divine message. So the Acharya, he chooses who he wants to transmit his power to, and then that person will be in a position to convey the divine message. It's by the mercy of the pure devotee that one is able to convey the divine message. This constitutes the underlying principle of the line of succession of spiritual teachers. The Acharya thus authorized has no other duty than that of delivering intact the message received from all of his predecessors. There is no difference between the pronouncements of one Acharya and another. All of them are perfect mediums for the appearance of the divinity in the form of the transcendental name, who is identical with his form, quality, activity, and paraphernalia. So if anybody sees a difference between the pronouncements of one Acharya and another, that is their own delusion. But actually, there's no difference between them. That's their own misunderstanding. That's their own inability to actually understand what they're saying. Because all of these Acharyas are perfect mediums for the appearance of the divinity in the form of the transcendental name, who is identical with his form, quality, activity, and paraphernalia. It's Krishna himself coming from their mouth. Completely Krishna himself, directly. The divinity is absolute knowledge. Absolute knowledge has the character of indivisible unity. One particle of absolute knowledge is capable of revealing all the potency of the divinity. Those who want to understand the contents of the volumes penned by the piecemeal acquisitive method applicable to diluting knowledge available to the mind on the mundane plane, they are bound to be self-deceived. If you just think by piecemeal, like, okay, I'm just gonna, every day I'm gonna read a little bit of Jaiva Dharma, I'm gonna read a little bit of this book, and I'm gonna try to figure it out, then you're bound to be self-deceived. That's not the method. The piecemeal acquisitive method is not the method. Those who are sincere seekers of the truth are alone eligible to find him in and through the proper method of his quest. Yes, only through the proper method of his quest. Those who are sincere seekers, they are alone eligible to find him. In other words, to be put on the track of the absolute, listening to the words of the pure devotee is absolutely necessary. If you want to be on the track to the absolute, if you want to be on the path towards the absolute, then listening to the words of the pure devotee is absolutely necessary. And if you don't, then you're not on the path towards the absolute truth. You're going off track. You're going in some other direction. The spoken word of the absolute is the absolute. There's no difference. The spoken word of the absolute is the absolute. It is only the absolute who can give himself away to the constituents of his power. What is that verse? Yame Vaishya Vrinute Tena Labhyas Tasyaisha Atma Vrinute Tunongsam. He only reveals himself unto those he chooses. You can't understand it through any other method. You can only understand him when he when he chooses to reveal himself to you. The absolute appears to the listening ear of the conditioned soul in the form of the name on the lips of the sadhu. The absolute appears on the listening ear. The absolute appears to the listening ear of the conditioned soul in the form of the name on the lips of the sadhu. This is the key to the whole position. The words of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda directs the empiric pedant to discard his wrong method and inclination on the threshold of the real quest of the absolute. If the pedant still chooses to carry his heirs into the realm of the absolute truth, then he only marches by a deceptive bypath into the regions of the darker ignorance by his arrogant study of the scriptures. Instead of going up towards Vaikuntha, he's actually on a path towards darker ignorance by his arrogant study of the scriptures. The method offered by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda is identical with the object of the quest. The sadhan and the sadhya are one, right? The method offered by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda is identical with the object of the quest. There's no difference between the sadhan and the sadhya. The method is not really grasped. The method is not really grasped except by the grace of the pure devotee. The arguments, indeed, are these, but they can only corroborate, but can never be a substitute for the word from the living source of the truth, who is none other than the pure devotee of Krishna, the concrete personal absolute. Oh my God, I've been going for so long. Sorry, guys. Okay, anyways, we're at the ends now. We're very close to the end. His greatest gift. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda's greatest gift to the world consists in this. He has brought about the appearance of those pure devotees who are, at present, carrying on the movement of unalloyed devotion to the feet of Sri Krishna by their own whole-time spiritual service of the divinity. The purity of the soul is only analogously describable by the resources of the mundane language. What's analogously? Is that like analogy? Like it's only describable like by analogy, but can't fully be described. Like you can try to give an example, like a metaphor or something like that, to try to explain a certain aspect of it, but it can't be fully understood. It's only analogously describable by the resources of the mundane language. Yeah, the transcendental thing, the pure transcendental thing, can't really be expressed through mundane language. It's not. It's completely transcendental to mundane language. So you can only kind of get some kind of indication, some kind of idea like that. Now it's like that. The highest ideal of empiric morality is no better than the grossest wickedness to the transcendental perfect purity of the bona fide devotee of the absolute. Whoa. The highest ideal of empiric morality is no better than the grossest wickedness to the transcendental perfect purity of the bona fide devotee of the Absolute. The word morality itself is a mischievous misnomer when it is applied to any quality of the conditioned soul. The hypocritical contentment with a negative attitude is part and parcel of the principle of undiluted immorality. So somebody might think that they're helping conditioned souls, that they're doing something moral, but actually, if they are just increasing people's bondage in this material world, then how is that morality really? So it's actually a misnomer when it is applied to any quality of the conditioned soul. Yes. The hypocritical contentment with a negative attitude is part and parcel of the principle of undiluted immorality. Those who pretend to recognize the divine mission of Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda without aspiring for the unconditional service of those pure souls who really follow the teachings of the Ṭhākura by the method enjoined by the scriptures and explained by Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda in a way that is so eminently suited to the requirements of the sophisticated mentality of the present age, then they only deceive themselves and their willing victims by their hypocritical professions and performances. Yeah. So those who pretend to recognize the divine mission of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, pretends to understand his teachings without aspiring for the service of the pure devotees, then they only deceive themselves and their willing victims by their hypocritical professions and performances. These persons must not be confronted with the These persons must not be confounded with the bona fide members of the flock. Yes, they are not. They might appear to be a guru and have lots of followers and always spreading the teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but those people who aren't taking shelter of a pure devotee, we should not think them to be like part of the bona fide members of the flock. They aren't part of our flock. They are somebody else. His prediction. Okay, this is the last section of this. His prediction: the religious unity of the world. And this is the part where I didn't understand some of the sentences. Anyway, so Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda has predicted the consummation of religious unity. The consummation of religious unity of the world by the appearance of the only universal church which bears the eternal designation of the Brahma Sampradaya. The universal church, Mahaprabhu. So he's predicted. Yes, he's predicted the consummation of religious unity of the world by the appearance of the only universal church which bears the eternal designation of the Brahma Sampradaya. He has given mankind the blessed assurance that all theistic churches will shortly merge in the one eternal spiritual community by the grace of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Wow, what a bright future there is. Everybody will become united in this one universal church. The spiritual community is not circumscribed by the conditions of time and space, race and nationality. Circumscribed, is that like, it's not restricted? It's not, let's see, I'm just sorry, I'm not, it's not, yeah, restrict, limited. It's not limited. Restrict something within limits. Yeah. So the spiritual community is not restricted by the conditions of time and space, race and nationality. Mankind had been looking forward to this far-off divine event through the long ages. Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda has made the conception available in its practical spiritual form to the open-minded empiricist who is prepared to undergo the process of enlightenment. The keystone of the ark has been laid, which will afford the needed shelter to all awakened animation under its ample encircling arms. Wait, let me reread that. It's so beautiful. The keystone of the ark has been laid. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur has laid the stone. The keystone of the ark has been laid, by which will afford the needed shelter to all awakened animation under its ample encircling arms. It's all embracing, it's ample encircling arms for everybody. Those who would thoughtlessly allow their hollow pride of race, pseudo-knowledge, or pseudo-virtue to stand in the way of this long-hoped-for consummation would have to thank only themselves for not being incorporated in the spiritual society of all pure souls. These plain words need not be misrepresented by arrogant persons who are full of the vanity of empiric ignorance as the pronouncements of aggressive sectarianism. No. People might say, this sounds quite sectarian, but no. The aggressive pronouncement of the concrete truth is the crying necessity of the moment. Sorry, the aggressive pronouncement of the concrete truth is the crying necessity of the moment for silencing the aggressive propaganda of specific untruths that is being carried on all over the world by the preachers of the empiric contrivances for the amelioration of the hard lot of conditioned souls. So it's saying, yeah, this truth is what needs to be established for silencing the aggressive propaganda of those preachers who think that by doing this and by doing this they can ameliorate. What is that? Is that like eliminate the suffering of conditioned souls? Yeah. Anyways, okay, sorry. The empiric propaganda clothes itself in the language of negative abstraction for deluding those who are engrossed in the selfish pursuit of worldly enjoyment. But there is a positive and concrete function of the pure soul, which should not be perversely confounded with any utilitarian form of worldly activity. But there's a positive and concrete function of the pure soul which should not be perversely confounded with any utilitarian form of worldly activity. Yeah. The benefit that our Guru Varga is giving the world is taking them out of this material world, bringing them back into the spiritual world. Whereas people like Mother Teresa and this person, they think that these people think that they're helping the souls of this world, but really it's they're two completely different things. Like one is just not helping them get released within this material world, and one is, that's yeah. Mankind stands in need of that positive spiritual function of which the hypocritical impersonalists are in absolute ignorance. The positive function of the soul harmonizes the claims of extreme selfishness with those of extreme self-abnegation in the society of pure souls, even in this mundane world. In its concrete realizable form, the function is perfectly inaccessible to the empiric understanding. Its imperfect and misleading conception alone is available by the study of the scriptures to the conditioned soul that is not helped by the causeless grace of the pure devotees of Godhead. It's imperfect, that's the last sentence. Its imperfect and misleading conception alone, only that is available to the study of the scriptures to the conditioned soul that is not helped by the causeless grace of the pure devotees of Godhead. Okay, it is now 8:30. That's usually the time that we end our daily readings. So 1.5 hours, and I only got to reading the article. Sorry, I was going through so slowly because I've read this article on here once before and I only understood like 60%. And so that's why I was just trying to go through it very slowly so that I'm sort of able to understand. Yeah, it didn't really leave any time for any discussion or anything. So I think what I'm going to do, okay, everybody here now, if you have time, what would be really nice is if you could go through this article again on your own and highlight some of the main points from this article. You could just go through and like copy and paste maybe onto a Word doc or something like that. And then any things that you've heard from our Guru Varga, any experiences that you've had, anything that you would, or any questions that arise or anything, you can note that down and then we can have a discussion on this tomorrow. I'll try to do that as well. I'll try to highlight some of the main points that I got from this article, and then we can think about it today. The next 24 hours, we can meditate on these topics, and then we can meet tomorrow and then have the Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī. So today is just the reading, and tomorrow will be the Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī. What do you think of that? Let me know. Okay, and I misunderstood the word. It's ameliorate. means to make better, not to remove the suffering, but it's to ameliorate, to make better. Okay, thanks. Yeah, and I wasn't so prepared to do this today, so that's why I was trying to figure out the sentences as I was reading them, rather than have already like understood what it meant. So yeah, yeah. All right. So does anybody have anything to say? Otherwise, yeah, we'll all meet tomorrow, and then we can go through this. We'll have the Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī tomorrow. All right. So I'll just do a quick Mahamantra Kirtan because time's already finished, and then we'll meet again tomorrow. And if anybody didn't subscribe to the mailing list and haven't received the EPUB, let me know and I can send you the EPUB. And subscribe to the mailing list so that you get the EPUB next time. RaiseOfTheHarmonist.com. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Jai Sachinandan Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari, Jai Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura Bhaktivinoda, Jai Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Prabhupāda, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Prabhupāda, Jai Sapashara Śrīla Prabhupāda, Sapashara Śrīla Prabhupāda, Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Jaya Gurudeva, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Parampara, Guru Parampara, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Jagadguru Śrīla Paramahamsa Kulaswami Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda ki Jai. So this program will only be successful if we can actually try to follow these words which we're hearing from him and approach these teachings coming from Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Thakur Prabhupada and all of those in his line, if we try to approach them in a mood of service and with sincerity and not giving so much importance to our own understanding of these conceptions, but really trying to open ourselves to receive the mercy that they're giving through these teachings. And so if we can try to always remember this before every one of these readings that we're going to have in the future also, then we'll get some benefit out of this. Otherwise, we'll only delude ourselves by thinking that we're understanding everything when we're actually not. So yeah, I look forward to our Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī tomorrow. Thank you so much for staying for such a long time. I went way over time today. I wanted to try to keep these sessions 1 hour at a time, but today it went an hour and a half. I hope nobody minds. And yeah, fun. I'll do a very short Jai Vāṇī, and then we'll end with pranams. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Gandharvika Giridhari ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Param Gurudev ki Jai, Jai all the associates of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda ki Jai, Jai Shri Jai Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda himself. All glories to him. Jai. All glories to his 150th Vyas Puja. Jai, Jai, Jai. Śrīla Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai. Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Śrī Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigana ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I just want to end this with one sentence, well, from a sentence from my Param Gurudev, from the book Acharya Kesari. It's just 2 sentences. And I think this is the mood that we really need to, the ideal mood that we need to imbibe. He says, Śrīla Bhakti Brigyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he said, I don't know or recognize the path of the previous Goswamis. I don't know or recognize the path of the previous Goswamis. I simply accept Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupāda's line of thought as unerring truth. And I will try to know and understand the previous Goswamis through Śrīla Prabhupāda's vision. I will first accept the excellence of his explanations and commentaries. All right, so with those words, we end this session for today. And I look forward to seeing any of you who will be able to come for the Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī tomorrow on this article that we just read. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Before I end the stream, does anybody have anything they want to say? Any points or anything? Let me know. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end now. Hari Bol, everybody.
Hari Bol, Dhanavad Prabhu.
Yes, Shubhananda Prabhu, yes.
The one point I noticed today, the whole article is quite heavy to understand, but one point that Guru imparts his, absolute imparts his potential to the desired person, the one who is chosen. That is the most important topic, I think.
Yes.
Not anyone can preach or give the absolute message. A very important point I noticed. Thank you.
Extremely important point. Yeah, that was like one of the main points, wasn't it? That we don't have any ability to spread the message, to preach. We can only be an instrument. And so if we open ourselves, if we are sincere and we really sincerely try to follow, and we pray for the mercy, and then if they see that we're a fit candidate, then the pure devotee himself will empower us to be able to spread these transcendental messages, because we have no power to do any, like we're speaking the divine sound. We don't have any ability to do that. So when the pure devotee chooses to empower somebody, then that person will be able to spread the message. There's no other way. Can't just, there's, where the...
Also, the point regarding language, specific language about Sanskrit and all. I'm coming from the Sanskrit background. That's why I was also in the same process of thinking, like one must know the Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is a like divine language. But the very point Śrīla Prabhupada mentioned about the language is quite enlightening, that all the mundane, all the languages at the same time hide the truth, and even in divine sense, they can express the truth also.
Yes. Yes, that's such an important point, isn't it? Sanskrit, even though Sanskrit's the pure, that's the divine sound, like the, like it's the language of the demigods, it's like that same language can hide the absolute, even though it's like being, everything's perfect and everything, but even that can hide the absolute truth. Whereas a pure devotee will be speaking a language that's not Sanskrit, any language of the world, but that sound will be potent with the full, we'll have the full potency of the absolute truth in it. It will be the absolute truth, even though it's not Sanskrit. Yeah.
Yes, and many times while reading the articles from our Guru Varga, we notice this that the apparent meaning of word is quite different from the perspective of Acharya.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Very, very important point. Yes. All right, so Shubhanandaru, if you'd be able, and anybody else here, if there's any other points that you'd like to note down, and then tomorrow we can further discuss them. Any parallel Harikatha, anything, any nice stories, anything. Yeah, then we can save them for our Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī tomorrow. Yeah. Since it's a bit late now, so I'm going to end the stream now, but I'm looking forward to meeting with all of you tomorrow to further discuss this. All right.
Haribol Prabhu,
Yes.
yesterday we sang Prabhupada Vandana, very wonderful. Last night I translated it in Marathi, in our native language, because we are having a small house program on this special occasion today evening. So
Wonderful.
it was quite wonderful. I got to know the meaning. Actually, I was in traveling yesterday, hence I just listened. But last night I sat down and read all the meanings and tried to translate it. Very wonderful. And the melody also. I again listened your melody singing last night also.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting.
I will try today. I'm going to try today to sing it in the evening program.
Wonderful. Very nice. Yeah, it's interesting how that song was written by somebody who never even had darshan of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda, but just by hearing his glories, he wrote such a beautiful prayer that became accepted as like the main song for Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta, like in Bengali at least. I mean, the main song in Sanskrit is Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Param by Śrīla Bhakti Śrīla Gosvāmī. But all of the associates of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupada, they accepted this Bengali kirtan, Jaya Re Jai Paramahamsa Mahashaya, as like the main Bengali kirtan in glorification of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, and you'll see it sung in all the Gaudiya mats. It's in all the songbooks, like all the Bengali songbooks from every mat, and it's like the official song. And it's written by somebody who never even had darshan of him. It was written in 1921, I think, or 1931, I forgot. But it's written during Śrīla Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's time. Yeah. All right. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Hari Bol. Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda ki jai. Krishna Premavati Didi, yes, I can share it as a PDF or Word format. Yeah. Oh, also you can go to raiseoftheharmonist.com and you can copy and paste it onto a Word document also. Yeah. All right. Okay. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.